Hey, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to showcase what's going to be the new build coming up on the channel. I cannot wait to get this one out. It gets all the bells and whistles. I'm going to really properly edit this one to as good as I can and make it as entertaining and informative as possible because, oh man, this build is so cool. This is the... I'm workshopping the name the TeleHunter. I think I've also got the Porter Hunter and maybe one more. But you know, like teleport hunter, get it? But it is a Mask of Bakris build, and oh my god, I'm in love with it. This setup is so much fun to use. It's ridiculously spammy. It's probably the fastest build I think I have used in this game, in that you just blip around fights, you're being so slippy. It's such a good hunter fantasy in that you don't get touched by enemies because they can't shoot you because you're teleporting, and then you're amplified, so the aim against you is worse. It's such a good build. It has got some amazing survivability to the point where I kind of see Gifted Conviction as being like the training wheels for Arc Hunter, in that you really don't need that 50% damage resist. Don't get me wrong, I know Gifted Conviction is good. I don't want to sound like I'm just bashing on that build, but I get more efficient clears using this exotic. I get stuff done faster, and I have not had a single problem with survivability. Yeah, also sorry for sorry for flashbanging you there. Yeah, survivability. Have not had a single problem. I have got, okay, if I'm just going to ring off everything that I've got in this build that is giving me DR or giving me healing, I have got better already and recuperation on the legs, and then triple heavy-handed and siphon mod to make orbs. So I've got healing through them. Tempest Strike now also fully gets combination blows health, so I'm getting health regen on that. Tempest Strike also gives you a 75% damage resist for 4 seconds after being used, so I've also got that. I'm also running the Bushido set here, which is giving me a 35 HP heal on weapon kills whenever they're kind of readied or reloaded. And then I'm also using the crossbow, which counts as a bow for Bushido. And then also using Lord of Wolves, again counts as a shotgun for Bushido. So I'm now also getting that 10% damage resist. I'm also getting a refreshable 40 HP over shield whenever I use my class ability, because I'm running 170 stats, but as soon as I can I'm going to push that up to 200 because yeah, that HP that you get on the overshield is so nice. And then yeah, that's everything. I think even if you wanted to, you could do something like Bushido 2-piece and the Trials 2-piece. This build runs special ammo finisher because it makes quite a lot of orbs through triple heavy-handed, so it could be worth just getting that nice little 70 HP heal on picking up orbs, and then the 35 HP heal on getting weapon kills with Bushido. And then on top of that, you've also got Amplified, which is a 50% DR, and enemies are less accurate when they shoot you. And Mask of Bakris also gives you a iframe dodge and just massively slips you out of fights when you need to. So all of that, all of that together, I have not had one single problem not running Gifted Conviction. If you find that you are struggling with survivability in this kit, I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't. I think this build is, if it's able to fight and brawl, it doesn't die. It really doesn't die. There's so much DR and there's so much healing that you just wouldn't expect, but it's all there, and oh my god, it's glorious. But the big bonus being, when you're not running Gifted Conviction, is obviously Mask of Bakris gives you that 30% weapon damage boost, and you're also just so quick in fights. I think you can see how kind of much I'm moving around, how well I'm able to place myself with these Tempest Strikes. Just all of it comes together in such a good way. And I'm using the crossbow here. Having a single shot weapon in this build that you can just plink off into enemies, and then just basically something that doesn't interrupt your gameplay, it feels so good. The only reason I'm using Mint Retrograde here is because we only have anti-barrier pulse at the moment, and this build doesn't need to run any primary weapons. It doesn't. We've got special finisher on the class for special ammo, but a lot of the time you're also just using tempest strike to be killing stuff. A primary isn't needed. If you want to run a primary, you can, but again, it's really not a you have to run one. I am so confident using double special with this build. And the fact that I'm using a crossbow here, it just means I can go and pick up ammo and just refund them. It's awesome stuff. Also, the footage that you're watching, this isn't a GM, because I'm currently sitting at around 280 light, so I don't have access to GMs yet, but I have cranked up the difficulty as high as I possibly can. I think I'm almost minus 50. I think maybe like a few light points off being minus 50. But you can still see, like, these enemies are just rolling over whenever you hit them with a tempest strike or any of your weapons because they're hissing so hard. This build, I'm just... Guys, I know I said it before, but man, I'm in love. This thing is so good. Like, for example, like, you see this. It just runs through enemies like overloads and stuff like that. It has a personal vendetta against overloads. There's so much jolt in this build, and we've also got overload shotgun at the minute, so yeah, it's it beefs personally with overload champs, which is nice. But yeah, sorry, I was kind of talking about why I'm running Mint Retrograde here. It's because we've only got anti-barrier pulse, and yeah, I don't want to run a primary here because I don't have to. Mint Retrograde is the only kind of like grenade launcher pulse rifle archetype we've got at the minute. I don't actually know what the name of the frame is called, but you know, it's only strand. As soon as you get something like an arc one or a stasis one, yeah, I'm gonna be using one of those. But for the time being, it'll do. If it was something like Unstop and Overload, then I would 100% be using something like a Tenacious, which again is a really ammo efficient gun, or maybe even something like an Aerodynal frame grenade launcher, maybe something like Lost Signal to get the weapon damage bonus. And there's just one thing with this build, it's so flexible. The amount of where, I kid you not, I've got a piece of paper with things that I want to sit down and test today, because yeah, this build is so flexible. As long as the gun that you have is arc or is stasis and can be kind of spammed and used in between all the tempest strikes and dodges that you're doing, yeah, it's gonna work here. The complete opposite side of that is a gun which you just pull out and you just start blasting something. I love nothing more in this build than just stunning a champ and then shoving in a Fourth Horseman, a Lord of Wolves, or, I mean, I don't have it actually, I probably should work on it, but Legend of Bakris as well, for the same reasons, where you just walk up in front of something and man, you just start blasting. And obviously those things, whenever they get the Mask of Bakris damage boost, okay, I can only speak for Lord of Wolves and Fourth Horseman, but they hit like absolute trucks. Again, you've been seeing this, these are almost minus 50 overload champs, and they're getting folded because like we can stick jolts on them, which just means that they're going to be stunned a lot. And then Lord of Wolves as well, or again, a stat record, Fourth Horseman, or Legend of Bakris. They're just amazing for looking at big enemies and being like, you right there, you're dead. That's what they do, that's their niche in the build. But yeah, guns that you can work in between using your combos, like crossbows, Aerodynal frame grenade launchers, wave frame grenade launchers as well. One of the guns that I've got on my list is Dead Messenger. It gets the 30% weapon damage boost from debuffing enemies, which we've obviously got through a lot of jolts from Tempest Strike, so that's one I really want to try. But actually, you know what? I'll list all of the ones that I'm going to test today. I've got Trinity Ghoul, Dead Messenger, Queensbreaker as well for its right fire, which can kind of like chain on enemies. That getting a 30% weapon damage boost. Yeah, that I want to use that. One other thing with Mask of Bakris that's not really stated anywhere, kind of more of a little hidden perk, is that if you're dealing damage to a stasis debuffed enemy, either slow or frozen enemy, you just get a 10% damage boost against them. That is not weapon damage boost. That is just a flat 10% multiplicative damage boost against frozen enemies. At least I believe it's multiplicative. I haven't done loads of testing with this build. The kind of loadout that you're seeing now is what I've really been rocking most of the time. But yeah, I need to go and test a lot more with this stuff. But I know that there is at least a 10% damage boost for just everything against frozen enemies, which is so good. That would be my reason for wanting to run a Tenacious, but again, for the reason I said before, it's anti-barrier pulse at the minute, so we don't really have a wide selection to choose from as far as dealing with barrier champs goes. This build also, for, I don't know how far through I am, but I've somehow managed to not really talk about the rest of the kits. We're using Tempest Strike, hopefully that's obvious at this point, but I'm also using Flow State, but you have a choice between Flow State and also Lethal Current. The one annoying thing with Lethal Current is that the effects that you get after dodging, they don't work with bakris, but the part where you deal melee damage to blinded enemies, where you deal melee damage to jolted enemies or then blind them, that part still absolutely works, and make this, I can't English, makes this a really efficient build for dealing with unstopped champs, because all you have to do is just Tempest Strike, you then bakris dodge kind of towards them, and then you just punch them with your fist. That's then just going to stun them, and at that point you can then pull out any one of your weapons, whether that be something like a Lord of Wolves-esque gun or anything like that. You can just pull them out and then just start ripping through the unstopped health. Yeah, so fragments are pretty flexible. The only thing that you can't run here is Ascension, obviously, because the whole point of bakris is that it's this specific dodge that teleports you, but yeah, that's the only thing. You've got a lot of choice here. For the fragments as well, really flexible. I am using 2 of the Ionic Trace making fragments in this build, because with 100 class, potentially maybe even less than 100 class, but I think you should be running as high a class stat as you possibly can in this build, you are able to get 1 weapon kill with bakris, and then through the Ionic Trace that you can make from killing a jolted enemy, or through just getting arc weapon kills will make Ionic Traces, that 1 weapon kill plus that Ionic Trace is a full dodge refund, just through a weapon kill and a trace, which is really nice. There is actually an alternate mod setup that I have used with this build, which is a utility kickstart and what's the name of the perk? It gives you class ability energy on getting kills. I think it's called Strategist. I'm fairly sure. I want to say Strategist, but you have high class stats, you have a Strategist gun, and you have utility kickstart. That combo, and having at least 2 orbs, I want to say, will fully refund your dodge from 1 weapon kill. I was using utility kickstart, 1 Reaper, powerful attraction, and triple heavy-handed. You could go for that combo, and then you're kind of like the true weapons expert, I guess. In the getting that dodge back, and therefore getting that overshield, just becomes way easier. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the other fragments, I've got the what's it called? Spark of something that gives you DR, 25% DR when you're surrounded. You're in the thick of fights with this build. It's kind of a no-brainer, and one I feel like just should be here. And then the other one is 2 Ionic Trace Makers. Oh, sorry, I can literally see it on the screen. Spark of frequency. So that whenever you get bolt charge, or at least whenever you get bolt charge and you're amplified, but through just getting arc kills or through flow states, you're not going to struggle with amplified at all. You will just get more stacks of bolt charge. Basically, whenever you get a stack of bolt charge, you get one extra. So like one stack becomes 2, 3 stacks becomes 4, all of that stuff. It's really, really nice. Tempest Strike is giving us bolt charge through killing jolted enemies, so it's a nice thing to pair up with this build. Yeah, apart from that, the mod setup, I've got triple heavy-handed. Oh, sorry, my voice is starting to go. I've got triple heavy-handed, or just because we've got so many Tempest Strikes, but I'm also got special ammo finisher. Not that I use this well in this footage. I can do a much, much better job. That's one of the things I know I need to get better with. Because, yeah, I know I said it before, this build doesn't have ammo problems, but it's specifically that we're dealing with, like, 2 brigs, really big, chunky targets, and, yeah, this is an encounter, again, that's really made for 3 people, not 1, so, yeah, it takes a little longer here, and it's also difficult to find enemies to kind of not just outright kill, and just set to a good range where I can special finish them. So, yeah, there's there's that as well. For your super, I would probably say Arc Staff, but you see in this strike that at some point I'm like Arc Staffing Shanks when I get to the boss room, because, you know, it's a flying servitor. I can't Arc Staff them. So, yeah, maybe I could have run something like Gathering Storm here. Storm's Edge is not real, it doesn't exist. Pseudo, because it's kind of bad, but I'll be damned if that isn't like the true teleport version of this build. I'm doing a whole bit in the video of Worldline 0, Storm's Edge, Blink, and then Tempest Strike and Bakris. What you're watching now is kind of like a build that can teleport. That's like the teleport build, the premier teleport build. And so, yeah, that's a setup I want to try. The only thing is that Worldline 0 is bugged at the minute, where its heavy attack, I think, is doing the damage of a light attack. So that's something that Bungie needs to fix at one point. One other gun that is bugged, that is annoyingly bugged, because it's something that would pair up pretty nicely in this build, or at least I know people would enjoy using it, is Ergo Sum. For whatever reason, whenever you... I know this because this is one of the guns that I have tested so far. Whenever you get Chain Lightning with the Arc Conductor roll on Ergo, the lightning after you dodge does less damage for some reason. I don't know why. It does not scale with Bakris. It actually gets lower. So I feel like people recommending Ergo Sum at the minute probably are just looking at it being like, oh, it's an arc gun that can spread lots of arc damage, and that's good. But I would say stay away from it for the time being, just because, yeah, it's not working as it should be, and it's kind of actually doing less damage than it should be, which is obviously bad for an exotic whose whole thing is supposed to be giving you a weapon damage boost. So, yeah, kind of PSA, it will be a gun that I recommend, but don't expect me to be picking up lots of footage with it at the minute, because it's not working. So, you know, why would I use them? Otherwise, yeah, just... I'm trying to think about what else with this build. Armor sets I already talked about, and stats I already talked about. The kind of breakpoint that I have got right here for getting back melee, I think, is 66. I'm pretty sure my stat split is 100 weapon, 170 class, and I want to say 65 melee, because that was the amount where I could just squeeze out a melee from a gambler's dodge. But yeah, class is just the way I think you should go. You have so many dodges in this build, and it gives you such free survivability, and your damage in this build is already ridiculously good. The thing that this build does not struggle with is damage and just ripping through healthy targets. The thing that it maybe could struggle with is survivability, but Actually, no, not maybe even struggle. It doesn't. Just that the HP overshield that you get from class is like the extra level of safety that you can get. And as well, the armor archetype for class is class as the primary stat and then weapons as the secondary stat, which means that you're basically getting the two things that this build does amazingly. Weapon damage, which you have in weapons, and then obviously class, which you have in, or dodges, which you have in class. It just kind of makes sense to have them. And then, yeah, my other stats are kind of suffering right now, but that's also because I'm working with tier 2 armor, so my stats are just going to be not great. And, yeah. I'm trying to think about what else I can bring up that I've mentioned. Oh, sorry, this is a massive one. At the moment, the combination blow tempest strike combo is bugged. There are going to be times where you see tempest strike not refund the class ability of gambler's dodge. That is a known bug. Bungie's hopefully fixing it. I made a bug report post which they replied to being like, yes, we're aware. And I also know that other people, when I was just looking at the forum as well, have done it. So, you know, it's in the works that Bungie is fixing it, but this is where bakris is so good. It completely just makes that bug not feel like it's there. The one thing that's amazing with bakris is that you can begin to think of your tempest strikes as these just like expendable abilities that no longer need to kill enemies. Again, what I mentioned before, the reason why I have ionic traces in the build is that one ionic trace and a weapon kill is our class ability refunded. So you can just start tempest striking really healthy enemies and not have to worry about getting into that loop of having to get a kill with tempest strike, because you don't need to with this build. And you're incentivized to use your weapons anyway, so yeah, it's kind of like a really, really nice combo to pair up with that makes using tempest strike just feel much better. At least at the moment. Make tempest strike feel better at the moment. Obviously, it's going to be better for other builds when they're able to be able to get this refresh. And yeah, I really don't think I'm done with tempest strike combination blow. There is just, it's such a cool combo. This is definitely one of the biggest changes that I think Bungie has made for Arc Striders, potentially Hunters. It's got to be up there. It's now like a completely different ability. Before, you would have to really kind of push for gamblers and bulk charge and all of that stuff, but here it's yeah, it's what you've been seeing this entire time. I'm trying to think what else there is that I can mention here. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's everything to do with the build. The seasonal artifacts is not amazing for Arc. The only really good ones are that you can put in this build, I want to say, is Elemental Days, and there's also one that's whenever you pick up a elemental pickup, you get a weapon damage boost, I want to say. We've also got Shield Crush, which is really nice for our grenade regen. But yeah, the artifact isn't like crazy good for Arc. Not stopping this build from being good. I mean, you're seeing the same thing I'm watching right now. It has no problems running through any of this content. It's seriously good. Also helped by the fact, or at least some of the damage in this build helped by the fact that Temporal Blast on the crossbow, it is ridiculously good. I'm using an explosive bolt crossbow because it's really nice to... Oh my god, dude, my voice. I'm losing it. Need a sip of water. Hold on. I'm gonna do that. Ah, there we go. Right, speaking normally now, hopefully. Yeah, the crossbow I'm using with explosive bolts, but that's just to give me kind of like a little bit of explosiveness in the build for when I want to shoot this off into a big group of ads and it just go boom, and then that gives me my class back. But with temporal Oh damn, the name has avoided me. Temporal Blast. Sorry, with Temporal Blast, this shot, that kind of like 5 times charged Temporal Blast shot, does like well over the damage that just a base crossbow shot does by like a significant margin. Being able to stack that up alongside Mask of Bakris's damage boost, oh my god, man, it's ridiculously good. It hits like an absolute truck. I'm genuinely going to really miss Temporal Blast on the crossbow because it kind of makes the crossbow damage feel like how it yeah, it kind of makes the crossbow feel like how it should do. Like, this amount of damage is kind of what I think the crossbow could just be doing more across the board. I do think that crossbows... I don't really know what their place is at the minute. I feel like Temporal Loader is definitely really helping out, but I'm kind of worried for the archetype once it goes. I know the whole shtick is that they're supposed to be really good at refunding ammo, and you know, they can be if you're in ad-dense situations, but a moment like this where, you know, it's a big boss, you can't really get near it, it definitely loses its stocks a bit. And I would say falls behind in damage pretty badly. Again, it's Temporal Blast that's just making this thing work as it is. I haven't got an amazing roll on the crossbow, to be honest. I'm using Master of Arms and Firefly. I just haven't really run Desert Perpetual. Basically all of my time has just been spent doing editing stuff. That's also why I haven't been like massively on the power grind, but yeah, I wouldn't have that any other way because I was super happy with how the Titan vid turned down, and the intro I was I was really happy how that came out. But yeah, I'm probably going to do a little bit of power grinding. I'm definitely going to have to get back into Desert Perpetual because the crossbow is a gun that I love using in this build at the moment. Again, Temporal Blast makes it feel really good. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of guns that I'm going to end up testing here. But yeah, kind of in the pipeline, a lot of that's planned for today, and yeah, I've got a script I've got to write as well for that. So yeah, stuff I got to do. Be a busy boy. But apart from that, yeah, that's kind of everything. As I said, I've got this build video in the works. I've got a kind of redone list of all of the builds that I have done in the past as well, and then past that, custom exotics, that's one I really want to start doing. And yeah, I don't know, a lot of stuff in the pipeline that I've just got to start working for. I also think I need to get a new computer. My one I've noticed with some of this stuff, I noticed particularly on Kepler, it was stuttering, lagging a little bit, and yeah, also I have to have like After Effects open and Premiere Pro open as well, and man, my computer just dies whenever that happens. It's like I can't do it no more, chief. It struggles when I've got those two running and I want to do like rotoscoping, for example. It's just, yeah, I've got a fairly old computer and it needs a little bit of TLC, if not potentially replacing. Anyway, that's it. That's the run. You get that really helpful arc staff that did no boss damage. And yeah, you can see it get the A rank here. And yeah, it's really annoying because I don't know how to show that this is like a -50 run. I think I should have done it originally. Also, drip check. I feel like this is such a well put together armor. Like the green with like the teeth coming down in the mouth. Ooh, man, it's a spooky hunter. I like him. And then, yeah, here's the stats. And then here's the build. Mint retrograde, that's literally just for anti-barrier. Otherwise would probably be Tenacious. Lord of Wolves. Opaque Hourglass. And then subclass, Arc Staff, Gamblers, Combo Blow, Flashbang, Tempest, Flow State. Resistance, Ions, discharge, and frequency. And then this is my mod setup. 1 special ammo finder, hands-on harmonic siphon, triple heavy-handed, then 1 charged up, resist mods, then, yeah, recuperation heavy, and the healing one, sorry, double reaper special finisher. And yeah, those are my stats there. 100, almost 100 weapons, 170, and there you go, 67. That's what gave me melee energy. Anyway, that's about it from me. So,